Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome, Brian. It's so amazing to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
So you got to meet Sean, and
Hey,
Sean,
Brian, nice to
Brian.
meet you.
Yeah, Brian is
Nice to
one
meet
of
you.
my favorite people from our class. Brian is a legend, in my opinion, and I'm very thrilled that you and our audience get to meet him today. Welcome once again, Brian.
I appreciate you, Elena. I was excited and I'm honored to have the opportunity to even just share and be a part of this journey. So let's get into it.
Absolutely. Let's do it. So, Brian, we usually start with the question, what led you to Wharton? How did the stars align for us to have pleasure?
I really wanted to focus on real estate. Real estate was something that was always my passion. And when I looked at the different programs that were out there, for me, Wharton was the right answer. But when I visited the campus and I got to meet some of the folks who ended up being classmates and just the facilities, the new building, if you remember, that building was fairly new when we got there. Everything was just spot on. And then because I had a home in DC and just loved life in DC, I just wanted to be able to be close to home and to my family. And so it just all made sense. I feel like I got very, very lucky. I strongly considered coming to the West Coast, but in the end, just the ability to kind of, Wharton was the right answer. And then it was so close to home, it was really a no-brainer. So those were the primary drivers.
How did it work out for you?
Oh, it worked out great. At that time I was married, so I was able to really, maintain that cohesion as far as being home on the weekends, focus during the weeks on what I had to do. But yet, the Wharton environment, I never felt like I was disconnected from my classmates or from what was going on. Sure, I wasn't able to do things like join the rugby team, things like that. And I'm sure I wouldn't have been any benefit to the rugby team anyway. But, I was able to kind of stay in contact with the family at home, friends at home, and still have that full business school experience. And then obviously the opportunities that Wharton provides you on the back end. It was all together for me in my journey in real estate and also through school. It was spot on. I feel blessed and just honored to even be able to wear the badge.
So
and Sean, you had a question?
I'm glad that I worked out.
Oh,
yeah, I wanted to just pop in here, knowing that that you and Elena know each other so well already at this point. I'm hoping to provide a little bit of a context for other listeners out there as well. If you could kind of like set the stage a little bit for me, like before you got to Wharton, you mentioned that you were into real estate. Is that what you were doing before going to Wharton, or if not, what were you doing, and like what got you into real estate and even in the first place?
Right. So, Sean, you may not be old enough to remember this, but I grew up watching this commercial. It used to come on Saturdays, which called them Sheets, no money down, real estate. No, and I grew up in the Bronx, so it was just an infomercial that really was geared towards getting you to invest in real estate. So I always had a passion for it. I just thought I would grow up and be this big old real estate mogul. Went to school, went to Howard University, focused on finance, and ended up becoming a stockbroker in Washington, D.C. There, I was able to really get involved with highly successful entrepreneurs, and all of them, in some form or fashion, were involved in real estate. And I had the opportunity to actually meet several people who were real estate developers, and even if they weren't developers, they invested in real estate in their own portfolios of real estate. Just the lifestyle alone. So it prompted me to buy my first building. And just being the Wharton type of individual, I didn't just buy a house. I bought a brownstone that I converted into 3 units. Almost, lost my job, and was hammering and doing plumbing and suits at lunch and things like that when things didn't go right. But that journey just verified for me that that this is what I was meant to do. And so I as a result of that experience, and kind of the benefits of having that building and seeing that happen and in such a hands-on first, upfront experience, front seat experience, it just prompted me that this is the switch I wanted to make. I wanted to pursue my passion. I guess on a personal note, as soon as the house was finished, I don't think it was because I went through the development of the house, my lung collapsed. And I came within like moments of my life. I was literally like right there.
Oh my goodness.
Because I was doing so much, I ignored the fact that I had this feeling in my chest almost all day. And so I spent the whole day, I went to work. I had an ADT dealership. I dealt with that. I did everything else, and I ignored this feeling that was going on in my chest. And essentially, that experience to spend a month at GW Hospital, I realized that although I had, experienced some success as a stockbroker, I had an ADT dealership that was early on, I was doing really well. I didn't do anything that I was truly passionate about. That had not made it through that moment in life, that I would have been floating around on a cloud somewhere or, somewhere else, worried about, thinking about, I had done something that really mattered to me. I had kind of just did what came easy to me and never really challenged myself or achieved something that was truly meaningful to me. And for me at that time, as far as it was going to be work, that was real estate. And so that was the part that took me from, working as a stockbroker, which I enjoyed. And I really, being a stockbroker, you manage people's money. And for someone that's really successful to give you their money is a big, you're right up there with wife, grandma, grandpa. You develop a trust and a love for each other that you become this person in someone's life where you are protecting and helping them to achieve their dreams. So it's very fulfilling in its own right, but it just wasn't at the core of who I was as a person. And so, at least at that time, who I was and what I thought my dreams were as a person. And so for me, Wharton was that I literally called Citigroup's private equity shop. And I at the time I was a broker at Citigroup. And I said, I want to transition into this group. And the guy said to me, well, if you want to do that, you probably need to go to business school, because right now you have kind of a sales-oriented role, and you need to demonstrate that you actually can do the quants and handle the rigors of this position. And ironically, I did my summer there because I called the same guy up and I said, hey, I'm at Wharton and I'm going to be finishing my summer. I need a summer gig.
And what happened since Wharton? What have you been up to, Brian?
Since Wharton, I did get a job in real estate, private equity. I went out to Chicago, and Elena and I, before we came on, we talked about my experience with cold and how I've spent much of my life trying to avoid cold weather. And the opportunity I got, which was most promising, was this private equity shop, Transwestern Investment, in Chicago. And so I just braved the cold, and I actually fell in love with Chicago, despite days where not even insects or birds were outside. It was so cold. The experience I had, the opportunity at that time, San Zell was liquidating equity office. I basically got to follow my managing director around, looking at those buildings. And I just learned so much about evaluating real estate. We did a couple of deals. We actually disposed, sold a couple of buildings as well. So I got to see a lot of transactions. I was knee deep in real estate, private equity. The timing of those that were in my class was interesting, because that was a few years before 2007. And in 2007, something very interesting happened in Manhattan, where there was like this nuclear bomb that went off in the financial industry. And a lot of guys like me found themselves struggling for the next 3 years for opportunity. During that time, though, I transitioned to some pretty interesting roles. It got me back into DC, as well as I ended up working for a small developer, a regional developer there that was first in class. But I kind of got into this place where I realized for myself that I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And so I ended up breaking out on my own and developing projects on my own in Washington, D.C., which, coming from, where I was, that was actually a quality of life play, where I just was I was turning brownstones into condos and then selling condos. But it was a 4-unit building in DC is a fairly good thing for an individual guy to do. So it afforded me a really good quality of life where I got to sit back and look at what I was doing. And it's an interesting question because my journey for business school, one of the things that was very powerful for me was the fact that I had to write so many essays. For every school, I had to write an essay, at least 3 or 4 essays. And then Stanford has this one essay where they ask you, what matters most. And I found that question so difficult to answer. But in the end, what I remember about that essay, which was all of the essays prepared me for this one question, because I really got to look inside and determine for me that what was most important to me was that moment that I had a few years earlier where I came so close to the end of my life. And that was really making an impact, mattering more to having experiences that matter more to other people than to myself. And if I can live a life where I impact billions of people, everything else kind of will follow. If it's millions of people, my life will rise to whether it's thousands of people, if it's hundreds of people, it'll be one thing. So I transitioned when I saw hemp coming in, this opportunity with hemp. For me, that was kind of the internet happening all over again, right before my eyes. And I was really in this place where I felt like at this point in my life, this is it. And so I just stopped everything I was doing and focused on hemp. And I started I went to Wisconsin, moved to Wisconsin, yet another cold place. But for some reason, cold equals opportunity for me. So I was able to open up a CBD extraction facility, get that going, and spent 3 years working on extraction and learning how to extract, developed extraordinary connections and friends in the hemp industry, Colorado, California, constantly on the plane for 3 years. And when I wasn't on the plane, I was, living in the lab, essentially. That experience was probably one of the hardest things I ever had to do because I went from, real estate to now I'm thinking I'm a chemist, to a certain extent, as well as now I'm running a lab. And then also I'm running a business as well. So it was one of the most challenging and one of the most rewarding experiences I ever had. Then COVID comes along. And it forced me to really examine everything. And I started the CBD. Well, I was doing it already, but I transitioned from wholesale to the retail aspect of it. But my ability to formulate, my understanding but as someone that can take the product from the plant all the way to the finished product that customers get, I feel has allowed me to create products that are very different or impact people in the kind of way that when I think about that essay, it allows me to do. And so what I love now where I am now is that when I look at the reviews that I get, when I look at the impact that I make on people's lives, I'm spot on. So through real estate, through Wharton, through all of that Wharton afforded me as far as my opportunities, really for me, it was a journey inside where I just had the ability to continue expressing myself, reinventing myself until I arrived at this place where I feel I am now, where I truly am. When I think about that essay about, what matters most to me, I'm making the type of impact that matters most to me.
I'm so glad to hear that you're doing something that's so fulfilling where you feel like you can touch other people's lives in a positive way. And it really seems like this transition for you into the hemp industry was like revolutionary for you. I have a bunch of things I want to unpack about what you said because there was a lot of really interesting things you brought up. One of them that really struck me was that you view this hemp industry as the internet all over again. Like this is like on the same scale, revolutionary wise as the internet. So I'm curious, like for what reason do you believe that? Or and was there like a moment when you were maybe like doing some research and you just realized in that moment, like, okay, this is it? And if so, like, what was that?
It was an elevated conversation. A guy who was a mentor of mine in real estate approached me during I think we were having dinner, and he brought it up while we were having dinner, but it was a group of us. But when you can tell someone's noodling, and we were talking, But I could tell he was noodling about me during that conversation. And at the end of the dinner, he came over and he asked me to consider hemp. And he gave me the the elevator pitch on hemp and what he saw and what the vision was. And I wasn't paying attention to hemp at all. But I was a stockbroker when the internet really was starting, when people had word. I'm that old that I was a stockbroker at the time the internet was coming on board. And it just sounded like that movie all over again. And so I spent, as a result, I spent a week researching, but then we did a weekend retreat where we brought, several people with different skills together to really dive deep into what this opportunity was. And when I came out of that weekend, I was all in. What I saw was, so why I compare it to the internet is because the internet has touched everyone's lives. The way we formulate our products now, it is designed to help someone like myself that doesn't necessarily have any aches and pains or anything like that, but I get incredible sleep as a result of taking my products, which impacts my day incredibly. Like I'm so much more. That's something I never really even realized, that how important sleep is to your everyday life. And so without having chronic pain, I probably do suffer from anxiety, but without admitting it to myself, I'm getting incredible sleep, which is helping my day. However, I also have, my main, for marketing purposes, but really it's something I just did as a test and to prove to myself. I have a client who suffers from chronic pain due to a car accident. Half his body, a car sideswiping on his motorcycle. Half his body is crushed. Doctor told him, you're going to have a life of pain and you're going to be on the opioids for the rest of your life. As a result of our products, he's not on opioids at all. And his pain experience has been altered significantly. This is not a paid person. This is someone who I just told him, we'll send you some products. This is how I recommend you take it. And the first night he took our products, he got the best sleep. His wife says to him, he sleeps now better than before he had the accident. One. And two, he doesn't even take opioids. I'm not going to say he's pain free, right? But if you listen to the videos, his experience with pain his life is greatly improved. And so to have that type of impact, but to know that I'm having that type of impact, that's someone I just communicate with, who I ask to send me videos if it works for him. But that is a story that exists, a lot more often than we know, whether it's from just, arthritis, debilitation with arthritis, and all types of other accidents, illnesses that occur. But then everyday individuals can benefit from this as well in ways that they don't realize. We all, one of the things that occurs to me is growing up, there were lots of people who smoked marijuana all the time. And now when I reflect on that, some of those people were some of the smartest people I had ever experienced in my entire life, right? And I really think that those people probably smoked marijuana because it helped them with their anxiety. They experienced at an extraordinarily high level, whether it's from, dealing with depression, anxiety, all those types of things. People have been medicating all this time, so we've been categorizing them in a way that is negative due to, perceptions that are coming from marketing and government and things of that nature. But these are people that found something that worked for them, and one way or the other, they did it. We provide a product that allows these individuals to experience cannabis without no one even have to know that you don't have to get high, basically, is what I'm trying to say. We formulate it in a way that you can have the benefit without the high. The plant itself can be used in so many different ways to replace plastic and other things that impact our environment. That's a whole nother journey and a whole nother side of this that I'm not even involved with, but it's there, it's coming, and it's going to, I think it's going to revolutionize a lot of the things that we're doing. We have to be greener as a population, as a global society in order to survive as humans. And I believe hemp is going to play a key role in that. Just in the way the plant grows, it takes out so much carbon from the environment as we expand our use of the product. The more hemp we grow, actually, the more carbon we're removing from the air. So it's not that I really study that a lot. I listen to people who tell me these types of things. But the product itself, the plant itself, can impact almost and will, in time, permeate everyone's lives.
Brian, why don't you take time for a shameless plug? Tell us what your business is called, who came up with the name, and what do you do exactly? Because I heard about this extraction company, but then retail, wholesale, like I'm a bit fuzzy. Well, Brian, I've never seen you without your smile on. So, what are you talking about? Are you telling me you, the superhuman I know are susceptible to anxiety as well? Like you've experienced it?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I have. This is a very personal journey for me in the sense that the impact I make matters a lot to me, right? But yeah, I've had anxiety. I've had relationships with people. I know people that suffer from depression, anxiety, and you kind of sit on the outside of the arena, cheering for these people that are actually on the field. And for me, having had that experience, I didn't go get diagnosed, but based on the people I talked to, I had a legitimate anxiety attack. And yeah, I mean, having experienced that allows me to relate to the people that have to walk with this on a daily basis, and to understand the importance and the impact that we make. I'm very proud of the product, and most people that use it, if they have something that they're experiencing, they really, they are present to the fact that it is helping you. So if it's anxiety, if it's pain, lack of sleep, insomnia as an example, what I love is that usually when someone picks up our product, they go, wow. If it's just pain, they think they have pain, or I have pain. They go, wow, my pain is gone. And wow, I slept so well. It's like, it's this, because whether we like it or not, all these systems rely on each other. Our ability to heal from pain, sleep plays a major role in that, right? Our ability to sleep. Well, it's hard to sleep if you're experiencing extraordinary pain.
To what extent, has your relationship with your family kind of shaped who you are and got you to where you are today?
In every way. In every way. I mean, in every way. You give you enter into an environment like Wharton. You bring your family with you, who you are, how you interact with people. The blessing I got from my family is that they are definitely high achieving, but genuinely good people. And I like to think that I grew up in a very loving environment, and I enjoy people. I enjoy learning about people. I enjoy learning about cultures. So when I went to a place like Wharton, for me, Wharton was a great school, but it was the people that really, when I came out of it, I mean, guys like Ben Relish, Akshay, Matsukani, one of the first folks I met, we were at a party, and Akshay transitioned from undergrad right into the MBA. But now, he got this, I don't know, what was he, 21, 22-year-old kid with these 28-year-olds or whatever. And he has this baby face, and, everyone's over here and he's over there. And I walk over and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And I pull him in. And again, one of the smartest people I ever met, but also one of the greatest guys I've ever met in my entire life. And all he remembers is the fact that I walked over to him in that moment and just started talking to him. What I love about my family is the connections and the fact that everyone is very real and the way we communicate with each other, and the love is true love. One of the things I love when I talk to my cousins is asking who's arguing. Who's the argument between who at this point? Because everyone's so passionate, stepping on each other's toes on a constant basis. One aunt is giving another aunt the silent treatment, and it just goes round and round. Someone's always mad at someone, right? Because they love so hard. So it's a silly thing. It's a silly way I try to explain it. But for me, it's the ability to make connections. It's not even an illusion. It's the desire to make real connections. It's to get the desire to be present as I'm, experiencing people, and to really understand who is that person behind those eyes I'm looking into at the time. 800 folks come together, and they put you in these cohorts, but then you have these study groups, and there's all these different groups, and it's all this learning and exposure to different types of folks. And yet it's competitive, but they're trying to forge all of this collaboration. It's just it's an interesting social experiment to me. It's really it's an interesting moment. But I think you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about other people, and it's really a great opportunity to really examine how you get in to something and become viable, and make connections and find yourself in a way that you can get information to help you pass these extraordinarily difficult exams. I remember my accounting exam, just to share a funny story, because I had a finance degree and I took so much accounting to get that finance under degree. I felt like I was worthy of the advanced accounting class. And everyone kept telling me, no, but I managed to talk my way into the advanced accounting class. And I remember 15 minutes into the first exam, 15 minutes left in the first exam, and I was still looking at question number one, trying to figure out what in the world is this woman asking me right now? It was like,
oh no.
But if it wasn't for the connections, if it wasn't for the relationship, I probably would still be taking that class over again. It was that challenging. But that really helped me to see that this is a different type of place. And then this is a different group of people, like these guys. Some folks were just sliding right through that, right? And then you had other folks who had never even taken an accounting class before that was struggling like I was. But it was the connections and the it's almost like boot camp, man. Everyone was, like, we got to get past this exam. One of my very best friends in the world, managerial economics. I met him because for the first times in our lives, we were sitting outside of this professor's office trying to beg for a QC. You know what I'm saying? And then we both were laughing at each other because we had never really experienced this before. Like we were about to go beg for a grade, And I remember, I can't remember the professor's name, but Scott. Scott and I are sitting outside, and the professor comes out, and I said, well, Scott's first. And he goes, no, you're both here for the same reason, so come on in. So we both walked in there, and we're in there begging together. We're doing the dance together, trying to get this guy to do it. QC, we were going to get into it, but it's those types of experiences that made that place magical and made the relationships what they are today.
How have you been enjoying your first winter in LA?
It's been magical. California is a lot colder than you think. I should say that right up front. It's a lot colder than you think. It's been because so many places here don't have heat at night, where I would be 75 degrees in Wisconsin, despite the weather. I'm experiencing weather exposure, it feels like, because there's no heat. However, during the day, it's just that vitamin D, it goes back to the product, the same thing. You don't appreciate sunlight and the value it adds to life on a regular basis, just feeling the warmth of the sun on your face, as you're walking over to the office or something along those lines. It's a beautiful place. The squirrels look healthier. The birds look healthier. Everything is beautiful here. I can't, I don't even know where to go. And that's not even a honey talking. That's real. It's I'm looking out my window now, and there's the squirrel that runs up and down, and he's working all day just like I'm working. It's crazy. Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. But it's the best. It was for me at this time. It was the best decision at the right time. Like I've arrived in California. I think at the right time. And during the pandemic, I could just go walk down the street, and that is plenty. As opposed to being stuck in the house. So.
I gotta sign up for that honey subscription.
I don't know if you can get it there. I mean, we always make something happen. Right? So we'll have to talk about that
I'll
offline.
pick it up in person. The healthy squirrels.
Well, they're not on the hunt. They're just on the sun and avocados and things of that nature. I've never, just avocado trees just randomly appear when you're walking around here. It's crazy. Where are you, Sean? I was asking, where is Sean located?
Oh, Sean is in Mexico.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh,
I'm lagging a little bit, but I'm in Mexico, so I also am enjoying that. Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Right, okay.
And so how's the Wharton SoCal club?
Oh, since I just got here about 6 months ago, I have not been able to really dive into any type of social networking at this point. I'm really just, trying to be responsible during this pandemic. I do go into the office, say hi to folks there. But, I really try to maintain the distance and just try to observe the restrictions that are in place now. But I'm looking forward to diving deep into the Wharton network and getting to know really all the different opportunities to connect up and down the West Coast.
Yeah, there's some really great, amazing people there. So I'm very excited for you about that. And Brian, I'm curious. You have a huge heart, and so it's got to have more space than just for one mission, one impact. What else has been close to your heart, and where else do you put your energy, or maybe just the causes that you care about and contribute to?
I love to cook. I'm cooking 3 meals a day since I've been here, things of that nature. But, just during the pandemic, I think I told you this. I'm about to start playing volleyball. I'm just take volleyball lessons.
It's a great question that you started answering without me asking, was about how do you stay fit, and not just physically, but mentally, for this incredibly challenging role that you are in right now.
Something I recently have, recognized is the importance of the people you surround yourself with. I think I'm a challenging person. I think I'm definitely an A-type personality. And then generally I gravitate to people who are challenging, but I'm realizing that there are different types of energy you need to really focus on, being around people that provide you with a certain type of energy on a daily basis, as opposed to really one-way type of relationships where you're only giving energy, not really getting something that replenishes you back. That's really important most recently. And then the rest really is just exercise and eating really well. Like one of the things, I don't know, but since I've been in California, I really focus on what I eat. And I have always enjoyed cooking, but now I just cook all the time, as opposed to, it's a pandemic, but you can order food, you can go out and things like that. But my food game, like what I eat, is extraordinarily clean. Anybody that experiences me now, really, one of the things they always comment on is how I eat. And I think that feeds into a lot of other things as well. And then the exercising part. And that's one of the things I'm really excited about. Once I get into this volleyball league, we're all very competitive people here. I'm probably going to have calluses and bruises and aches and pains and things like that because I'm going to go hard, and although I feel like I'm fit now, it's about the beat. See, I don't know if you know that, but I just caught this light as it fell. That was actually quite an athletic feat right there. But it's about to step up another level as far as the fit part. So it's really it's three parts: the food, the people, and the exercise for me that allows me to really maintain what I feel is a healthy state of being mentally, emotionally, and physically.
It's great to hear that you involve exercise and mental fitness into your daily routine. And I'm curious to hear what you would say to someone. I think a lot of listeners probably that come from Wharton have this lifestyle where it's work, where what I do in the office is the most important, and maybe I'll have time to do exercise or meditate, but that's always on the back burner. Do you feel for you that dedicating that time and energy to kind of taking care of your body actually makes your productivity better? Or I guess what would you say to someone who's like a naysayer of the looking after your body and your mental fitness?
First, I would admit that this is new for me. I was definitely one of those folks that all I wanted to do was work. That's all I wanted to do. And my answer to that was, you do what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about it, doing it all the time is not a problem. It's not even like your work. Then I read a couple of books on habits and productivity and things of that nature. And I really recognize now that it's very important, if you want to do something at a high level, there's actually benefit to stepping away from it and giving your mind a rest, essentially, from it, and just the ability to focus on other things. As far as the physical part, the exercising and things of that nature, I just feel better. I just feel better. Don't know. It's important to me, and I'm amazed at how productive I am now that I actually compartmentalize when I work, when I don't work, when I sleep, when I'm going to have fun, all of these different things, and how then when I find myself in the sleep mode, I'm able to sleep extraordinarily well because everything's in line with the fact that this is Brian's sleep time. When I'm working, I'm able, because I'm kind of like you can say ADD. I'll spend the whole day doing this all day long, bouncing around. But now that I actually compartmentalize time for it, I dive deeper than I have previously. When I thought I was working before, there was a whole lot of activity. Now I think I experience extraordinary amounts of productivity.
So what's next for you, Brian? What are the next milestones? What are you looking forward to?
What's next? I think what's most important to me now, in my journey, I've had opportunities to do things like build family and stuff like that, and always wanted to look for the next thing. I think for me now, it's really, in addition to now that I really feel like I'm on a journey where I'm making the type of impact in my professional life, which is very personal for me, that I now start to expand myself just individually with regard to just focusing on things that matter most to me, that it allowed me to then return to being selfish and healthy and do things that actually allow me to grow individually. I'm trying to get around a way of saying, building a family, things of that nature, all those things that all my friends did while I was running around trying to develop real estate and stuff like that and being an entrepreneur. For me, those things are really, really important to me now. I'm recognizing that, now that I am taking the time to compartmentalize and look at other things other than work, I'm realizing how little stuff is there other than work because I focus on work so much, So it's like that. And I'm actually excited about the fact that, I'm still in a place where I can do those types of things. So it's, I never felt more prepared. So
That's awesome. So, are you seeing anybody, or do we have an supremely eligible bachelor alert here?
Uh,
Watch out, Santa Monica, ladies.
I think I'm blessed in the sense that I always attract really, really good energy. So yes, I am seeing someone, and I'm very, very fortunate. Thank you, Elena. Appreciate that.
Did I out you? What can I tell you, Brian? I am becoming my mother. That's my mother's first question.
Oh, really?
Are you
Oh, that's
single?
hilarious. my mother would go. My mother would go straight to the baby. She would just go straight to baby. When can I have a grandbaby?
I was curious. You said in the beginning about this, like close brush with death and how that put everything into a new perspective for you. I'm wondering, does that wear off, or is it still, is it the gift that keeps on giving?
I would say it's both, in the sense that I can remember. I remember, you get away and you focus, but when you take time to reflect on where you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it, it's something that when you come that close, maybe I didn't forget. It's like it was. It's like it was yesterday, in the sense that I definitely recognize that I'm not going to say borrowed time, because obviously it's here for me, but I very well could not have this time, and it matters to me. And when I say what it gave me was perspective. You always you're going through life and you assume that you have time for lunch, right? I assume that I'm going to have lunch, right? Well, I was in a place where I didn't know that I was going to be able to have lunch. So everything was behind me. It was not. So I got to sit back and look at what that looks like. What is that moment like for me? And just because Sean, you make that type of investment in time, more than likely you probably want to accomplish certain things in life, or just whatever your motivation is you're not just meandering through life, right? I had to take account of what was going on. And it's not even that I was, I think by most people's standards, I was actually probably doing extraordinarily well. But I just had not gotten to a place that what I had accomplished truly mattered once I was gone. It mattered for me for the time that I'm here. But once I was gone, I didn't really do anything that, when you think about family, that's kind of the part you ask, how does your family impact you? Well, that's one of the things, is that I'm not thinking about just myself. I'm thinking about my family. I'm thinking about, what I leave for everyone who survives me, things of that nature. It's those types of things. And it's not just money, right? It's not just, if it was money, there was no reason to do something like a Wharton for me or anything like that. It really is just the type of, it's richer. It's a richer answer than just cash, and even from my journey now, and I really, again, with Aura, it has helped me to really see how meaningful it is to truly like make a difference in someone's life, like how rewarding that is, you know? This guy, Hank, honestly, he's made the whole journey worth it. To just the way that you know, the way he articulates it. You should go to the site. I'll send you the videos, but it's right on the site. The way he articulates it, you know, it's real. And so it's not those hours, those you know, that moving to Wisconsin, leaving all my friends behind, you know, sleeping in the lab, you know, it makes is money worth it relative to, you know, where you are, you know, things I've done, those types of things. Is more money worth doing that, you know? But to be able to help somebody like that, and then to know that there are, you know, thousands of people like that, and hopefully there'll be tens of thousands, millions of people like that, that becomes a really small sacrifice. That's like a trade. That's an infinite return, you know, the type of energy that you put into those 3 years in the lab. So, so if I found myself where I wasn't able to show up for lunch, when you show up for my funeral, you can say I went with a smile on my face because you know that I have finally made the type of impact and achieved the types of things that mattered most to me. So that's what that opportunity gave to me, because everything is about that moment for me now. You know, everything ultimately is about that moment and what is it going to look like in that moment. And I just am fortunate enough to not be able to really have some level of perspective of what it's like to be in that moment. And I can walk with that. And it's empowering. But it makes me extraordinarily intense. Some people can't even handle that conversation. I was a stockbroker. Most men didn't even want to talk about death. They put it off. But, you know, it's there with me at all times in a very real way.
The signature question we have here is, to me, Wharton is.
Wow. Okay.
How do you complete that sentence?
I didn't cheat and look at Roshni's video, so I wasn't ready for it. For me, I mean, the only word that came to mind was life. Wharton's life. I think it's, you know, it's life. It really is it's a living thing. It's something that impacts every aspect of my life at this point. You know, it's my friends, it's my career, it's my ability, you know, how I look at problems, it's my, you know, my so much. It touches everything. Wharton is life.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Brian, for taking the time to be with us.
I appreciate the opportunity, Elena, and this was a wonderful, wonderful experience. You know, you guys unpacked a whole lot of stuff for me that I'm sitting down and think about. You know, I'm going for a run now and really marvel at this